Good morning, everybody. カイ先輩です。これからよろしくお願いしますね。だって、日本語よりね、英語でおしゃべりしましょう。だって、俺の日本語が錆びてるから疲れるよ。最近使ってなくて、ね。本当に喋れるかどうかわかんないですね。現実で会わないと確認できません。まあ。俺の日本語よりね、君の英語はどうですか？これから英語で考えましょう。何でもいいから、世界のニュースでも、自分の物語でも、英語で考えましょう。大丈夫ですね。じゃあ、ちょっと自分の英語を貸してあげるから、俺の訛りを聞いて、ちょっと真似してくださいね。だって英語で考えないと喋れないよね。違うか。ほとんどの、チャンネルを見て、他の英会話チャンネル見てさ、日本語ばっかりじゃないですか。他の先生は。日本語もうまいし。でもこれは英語のチャンネルだからさ、英語で考えましょうよ。はい、いいですか？じゃあ、一斉の。Well, I would say that if everybody knew the lyrics, right? But here's the thing. I'm thinking to you in English because that's what English speakers do. So, as an English speaker, I'm thinking in English. And when I think, I'm thinking in sounds. Like literally, I hear sounds in my head, or at least how they should sound, at least according to my version of English, which is, a general California accent. So, this is how I think, and this is how everybody with this accent actually thinks is too, kind of, in the sense of like sounds, right? Now, my philosophical thoughts or my political thoughts might be different than other people, which is, everybody has their own way of thinking. And this is why we come together in a common language to express those thoughts. But we got to be able to understand each other if we're going to be able to express those thoughts and understand those thoughts. So I think it's really important that we just kind of fundamentally focus on, well, the WBC. No, UFO, that's a really good idea. I don't know if the WBC is on my computer because I have not been watching. The only thing that I've been watching is the highlights on Instagram. It's weird how my feed is really more concerned with the war in Iran. And, I've been thinking a lot about that as a, member of this human society. It's kind of big, you could say, for my country and our democracy, and I can see how the WBC is pretty big in other parts of the world that are not participating in war right now, which is what should be the state, the peaceful state, right? I have no idea why we're at war. I can give you a few conspiracy theories, but yeah, WBC is way more exciting than war, that's for sure. And this is how I think, countries can let out a little competitive spirit and play some sports together. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of have this idea that in the future, all military conflicts will be resolved through baseball. And it's kind of because the AI can't predict a baseball match as efficiently as like all the other sports or whatever. And so basically baseball acts as a world court where countries come together and resolve their differences through a baseball match. But the because the militaries basically invest all their money into the baseball teams, you have like the best baseball in the world. Like everybody's got like super bats. Like they kind of like let tech kind of like take over the game in a sense. So everything's all scientifically tested, and like the pitching coaches have like mystical teams of wizards that kind of teach them how to do magic. I think it's a manga, what I'm talking about right now. And I think if I only knew how to draw, that I would do it. But yeah, no, like watching WBC, watching baseball is always a good, how do you say, reality check in a way, because seriously, if you think about like what's going on in the news, I am very convinced that everybody's not watching the same channel, to say the least. And it really does beg the question, well, what the hell are you thinking? What are you watching? There's so much information out there on these screens, and it's like, okay, so you're going to spend your time doing what? Now, I luckily got to go see WBC back in like 20 like '08, I think it was. I think I can't remember exactly, but I got to go to San Diego. One of my students, Suguri-san, he just happened to know, or one of his clients was one of the members of the team, so for the Japan team. So me and my student flew from Japan to California, San Diego, LA, and we got to see the best baseball I've ever seen. I'm not going to lie. It was probably one of the raddest kind of experiences ever, because who gets to see that much baseball in a row, right? We got complimentary tickets because of the connection through the pitcher. And so we got pretty good seats behind the plate. And every single day, every single game, because they kept winning, right? Japan kept winning. We were like, hey, well, let's go back to the game. And then we didn't think about like the final championship, but Japan kept winning. And so we were kind of like, what do we do? Should we go back to Japan or should we stay? And I was like, well, when are we going to get the another opportunity to watch a World Baseball Classic final? And so he was the one that had more work than me. So he's like, all right, let's stay. And so we stayed and we saw the final. We saw Japan defeat Korea, and it was one of the best games of my life, but hands down. So yeah, no, watching baseball is always a good, I don't know, like I said, reality check or whatever. Meteor no Kia, konbanwa, domo domo domo. いらっしゃいませ。違うか。まあ、日本語錆びてるからね、ちょっと英語で、おしゃべりしましょうね。So, yeah, so basically the baseball game right now, like I'm not exactly sure which one is the game because I already see highlights according to YouTube. That's where I'm looking. Oh, it says live. No, that's March Madness. I don't want to watch March Madness, and I don't want to watch Fox Sports. So there you go. Major League Baseball. Their own channel. Man, Major League Baseball has a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. We have so much in common. I think that I need to create more content. Now, guys, I'm going to be creating a lot more content very soon. In fact, I could be doing the baseball thing, but today I was talking to, I was talking to AI, and I created a draft I have this programmer that I'm working with. He's in Pakistan, and he said he's okay. Like I asked him about like the war going on over there, and he was kind of like, no, where I'm at in my city, everything's fine. So, don't worry. And I was like, okay, cool. Just want to, make sure that we're all good here, because a lot of times we get in our own little head and we're like, yeah, it's sunny and peaceful. So is the whole world, right? But then when you start to really empathetically look around and start listening to the news, you realize, yeah, that there's bullshit happening everywhere at all times. And there's a lot of frustrating things that, America does specifically. And so it's kind of like frustrating to really watch all of this news, right? But staying informed, right? Because I don't want to come across as like a jerk just in case there was some sort of problem, because the news doesn't really explain exactly what's going on with Pakistan and Afghanistan. And so as I looked into the news, it was kind of like Pakistan was more pushing into Afghanistan than the other way around. So, not that like I'm picking sides, but I just want to make sure that my programmer is safe, right? Because he's a very trusted business partner, and making sure that the architecture of, let me go ahead and show you guys here, but for the app is sound, if you know what I mean. So basically I created a draft for him to kind of like start thinking about the next steps that we're going to be doing for the app. And I don't want to get into too many things right here on the live stream, because I don't want to bore you guys. because if you've ever talked about code or programming, it's interesting in one aspect, but then when I actually watch a programmer or a coder do their thing, I have absolutely zero interest in staring into a screen for that many hours. So I'm trying to do this as best as my brain can do it, because I can't code. Like, that's the biggest problem. I've got this like color idea that I can't code. You know what I mean? Like, what I can do is stupid things like this, where I take, I won't take that word, but I'll take that word from the recent from the recent video that you guys saw. Did you all see that? That was a pretty good video, if I do say so myself. And basically, so the word is not shopping, but the word that me and Desi talked about last time was canvas. So what I am able to do is I'm able to take a canvas like this one, and by right now, like you guys watching, you can see that I can just go into my thing. I have a little secret color palette over here, and all the colors, they're already determined, they're already in order, and I have them memorized. So I just come over here and I can explicitly illustrate the sound that comes out of this word, and it's canvas. You know what I mean? Canvas? Yeah, so it's not a Z, right? So anyway, so I can take this blank canvas and I can manipulate a monitor or a screen or anything like that pretty simply, right? Like even this background that you're looking at right now, I was able to hand draw it and put all the colors because they're very specific colors. And, not that like this is any amazing art, but I'm able to express my ideas more or less, right? The problem is that I tend to talk a lot when you get me in the mode, talkity mode. And being able to color everything that I'm saying is kind of like a complicated process, right? Like there is no software that can keep up with me, if you know what I mean. So basically, I'm creating a new software that will eventually be available to the public. But you guys don't worry, it's not going to be available for a few more months probably, just because it's kind of complicated. So I had to spend all day planning out the different phases. So we're up to 3 phases, and then we'll pivot from here to there depending on what you guys request, because the biggest request by far is Android. And to be honest, it's like Android is way more technical and complicated than it appears on the surface. You can't just like copy paste. It's like going from one language to another. And this is like literally the irony of teaching language, is that if we had a HUENIQUE, one language that we all understood, we can communicate much more clearly with each other and specifically, and like we can start to share visions. And so hopefully we agree on what those visions are, right? And my vision is basically a world in which more people speak English, right? And I don't mean reading and writing English. I mean actually speaking clearly in conversation. And the more that we do it, I think the more we're going to be able to find common ground as we discuss more and more complicated issues, right? And there's a big, very big, very, very very big complicated issue in America right now, and that is a lot of people do not like the president at all because he's doing very, very, very evil things, and a lot of Americans are waking up to this right now. One of the things that I've been hearing is that a lot of Americans are embarrassed to admit they're American. Well, first of all, you don't have to explain where you're from if everybody understands your accent, right? It's only in places like Japan where you have to go, oh, I'm an American, right? Because any other English speaker is going to recognize you're an American based on your accent, right? So this is where the education part comes in, because I'm used to this. I was in Japan during the Iraq War, and I was like, look, guys, I'm from California. We like to hang out and chill, and nobody's aggressing nobody, at least for the most part. Of course, California has its own problems, and I'm not addressing every single problem in the world. I'm just kind of talking about, in general, the general warmongering that's happening is not good for anybody, and I'm kind of embarrassed. And so that's why I say, oh, I have a California accent, and in California, we think differently. Like, we think a little bit more collectively. And I think because California is like quote unquote new land, of course, there's the history with Mexico and the Native Americans. I recognize that. So, yes, I'm descended from settlers. I get it. I'm descended from immigrants. I also get it. So, we're here today, 2026, and it's like, okay, for the most part, California has a certain level of peace. And I think that part of it is literally because any Californian that talks to another Californian does not look at the color of the skin so much. Like, obviously, people in Huntington Beach probably think a little different, but, I digress. Not everybody's the same, guys. There's a spectrum. There's spectrums within spectrums. And if we have to cap the story somewhere, if you think like, oh, America is bad, it's like, okay, well, the government is bad, yes, but the people, you got to learn, you got to be able to distinguish who you're talking to, right? Not everybody's bad, but of course, there's going to be people that think strange things. So, by recognizing accents, you can kind of understand where somebody's from. And so that's why I say, like, oh, if you like just knew my accent, you would know that I'm Californian, like, duh. So, and then you would know that we have a generally more a peaceful vibe, right? So, yeah, it's like, what are we going to talk about? It's like, well, do you want to talk about, peace, love, or war? Because, like, I don't want to talk about war in so much that I don't want to experience it ever. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm being very honest. Like, the only violent video game besides Resident Evil, Biohazard, is Fortnite. The only game with like guns really that I've been okay with is Fortnite, because it's kind of obvious that it's a fantasy, you know what I mean? Like the realistic ones, no way would I play that. That's just like, I don't want to imagine the world, collapsing in on itself because, their idea is more right than their idea, or their country is better than their country, or their race is better than their race. That's the worst one, right? And so it's just like, okay, I don't want to play that game. And, I really do come here in peace. Like, I'm literally actually, if anything, hopefully an advocate for peace at all times. Like, I don't know, it seems kind of like basic, but like as you begin to talk to more people from around the world, you just never know what anybody thinks at any given time. So you always have to play this kind of like diplomacy, and who you talk to, and maintaining the right perspective is always crucial. And dealing with people that have a false perspective, in my opinion, is always the most complicated thing to do, because you don't want to necessarily argue somebody just because you argue something. There has to be like a point. There has to be an actual, I don't know, motivation for everything we do. So I'm not here to get into any arguments, that's for sure. Although I do see a bunch of comments on the YouTube channel, and like it's just like some people think that I'm out to pick on people, and it's like, no, I'm literally teaching English, like literally. It's all about accent, and this is like the thing that I don't think people get. I saw a movie, it shook me up, because in the movie this war going on, and the bad guy, one of the bad guys, clearly the bad guy. Make no mistake, the bad guy, the bad American, was basically doing an accent test on everybody. Now, this happened according to a report that I read during the earthquake in Tokyo back in, I believe, 1923, Japanese people did an accent test on people to see if they were from Korea or not. So the concept is definitely universal. This is not just an American thing. This is not just a Japanese thing. It's a human thing. We have what we call our tribe, quote, and our tribe talks a certain way and has certain accents. And anybody outside of that tribe is an outsider, like literally, right? So I get it. You guys have your team, and then we have our team. Here's the thing: we're all on the same team. Like, we're literally all human. Like, it's, come on, like, it's like simple stuff, right? So you never know who you're talking to, and like you realize that a lot of people haven't like realized the collective consciousness, that exists, like pick thoughts original, and what do you know, right, about anything? And it's most likely because somebody told you, you know what I mean? Like, you read it, book, somebody told you, like a parent or a friend, like, this is how it is. And you just heard a bunch of words and just copy paste into your brain, into your operating system, and say, hey, I guess I'm white. I mean, it looks a little and hairy, but I guess that's my label, right? And so you learn with it. So when I got to Japan, I was like, oh no, you're a gaijin. Oh, okay, cool. Let me look that up. I'm an outside person. Okay. So how do I become an inside person? I'm like, Muri, you can't. And I got it. I get it. It is what it is. But like, you just see where database thinking breaks down. Like, every single genetic-based thought has a scientific limit. You know what I mean? Like a scientific reality. Like, you can't shit your way out of it. And so basically, all the differences that we have are learned, more or less, which means they can change if you're willing to learn. And so the idea that like, your accent is who you are. I speak like a Japanese person, because Japanese people speak with, and I was like, okay, you could talk like that, or you could switch it up and you can talk like how other people talk. Now, you just have to know what other people is, right? But that's why I recommend the accent, because anybody from any country could speak with a California accent, and everybody from California. Like, nobody would question that you were born in Japan or Hong Kong or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, you sound like you're from Orange County. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter where our ancestors came from, and then like, oh, it's just an inner story, a personal story. There's so much in the future that we could be doing. We just kind of like stopped driving cars and started flying more kites. You know what I mean? Like, going around like that. I mean, there's so many things that we could be doing if we had the access to resources and technology. And so it's like, okay, well, with the technology that we have, what can we do? And there's a lot to do, but like, there's also a bunch that we can't do. And that would be, without a doubt, like, in reality, like, there's a certain level of technology that you can use with a conversation, but the second that somebody pulls out a phone while we're having a conversation, I'm not interested. You know what I mean? Like, if people try to show me a video, like, hey, look at this video, and they like hold it up to me, like, while we're having a conversation, it's like, yeah, no, thank you. This is an audio game that we're playing. I don't need to spend any more time looking at a computer, because I never learned anything on a computer, other than computer stuff. So, computers becomes this kind of rabbit hole I think most of humanity is drowning in right now. I mean, if you really look at like the amount of time you spend on your computer or your iPhone or your TV, you have to realize that you're spending most of your life in front of a screen. And I think it was in Bangkok when I was looking out the window, and like, it was this weird like Tron moment, because it's like the window was like a screen, and but it was like real. You mean, like, I could like look out the window. I'm like, oh, that's where I got food. Like, I could kind of like see reality in this kind of like better way, because it was like the 46th floor, 42nd floor. I forget. It's kind of like a high rise, middle of Bangkok, and it was like, this is interesting. This is definitely different. Definitely different Hollywood, definitely different than Tokyo, So, I don't know. The idea that, you can just sit in one place all your life and then just look at the TV for your information, I get how it's efficient. It's just that I wish that I had some sort of blimp, and in this blimp, hanging under the blimp is my house. Like a room, like a living room, maybe a bathroom, of course, a bathroom, somebody's kitchen. And like I would just fly a blimp to all my friends' houses. Like I'd go to Vancouver first, probably, right? Be like land there, like I'll land on top of his house. Like, hey, what's up? Let's hang out. And then go like hang out, have some fun. And like, hey, I'm gonna like float to Alaska. You want to go? Oh, I probably got to go the other way because of the wind, right? So I'm gonna go to Japan, but first I need to stop by New York. And we go, and then take my blimp and then float to New York, and then land it on Chiludi. And then I go down and have New York, ferry to New York, have fun, blah, 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 meet people. And they're like, hey, is that your blimp? I'm like, yeah, I just parked it over there. You want to go? Yeah, where are we going to go next? And we go, you want to go to Greenland or Iceland? And everybody's going to say Iceland. And so we go to Iceland. And then, dude, that's where the blimp would be awesome. Like, trust me. So in order to create a blimp, all we need is helium, I think. Well, the house below it, right? But they already make those. So anyway, I'm pretty sure AI could design that for me. So guys, in the future, if you want to ride, subscribe to the channel now and keep this in mind. Like this is like a 3, 4, 5 year project, right? But the blimp design, I mean, we can get started right now. All we need is a skin and an idea book. But basically, I'm sure that the AI will know about aerodynamics and stuff. So like, I'm gonna like make sure, nah, you know what? I'm looking for a more universal design of my blimp because circles are kind of like balanced from every direction. And then basically I'll have some sort of pod there. And then they will have like windows. And then it will float in the sky. So I don't know if you guys could visualize everything that I said, but just in case to like really understand like what I'm talking about, I'm in a blimp one day, and the blimp is gonna fly around the world, and then basically, yeah, I mean, it's just a sketch. This is what it's gonna look like in the future. So. My blimp, see, that's not really a circle. It's more like an oval. That I'll have some sort of metallic color so people don't run into me, And then it's going to have solar panels, and then it's going to have water catching technology, kind of like it just absorb the moisture. And so, when you're basically that self-sufficient and you're that high up, like, what do you got to worry, Like, people like on the ground and be all like fighting, and then you're like, dude, like, chill. Like, there's plenty of sunshine, there's plenty of water. Like, why don't you get a blimp, right? And I'll have like AI kind of like make a website that's like you, and then all of a sudden, you have like 1 million people in blimps, and they just like float around, and then like if a storm comes in, don't worry because like AI has like an app that like understands weather, and so you'll be like in your blimp, you're like, oh, storms are coming, so you land, right, and then the thing kind of like can contract because of blimp landing zones everywhere around the world. So anyway, like I don't want to get too into details of that because like creating blimp landing zones will require like I'll have to like buy some off the grid property and set up like a tank, get there using my blimp. It's not that big. In fact, I think from the blimp I can go to Zillow or Redfin. It's okay, like land on the ground, and then send an email from the air and be like, yo, hey, I need a blimp zone. Your land looks really good. Like in like Wyoming or something, do you mind if I buy your land for $10? And then land the blimp, hook up the gas thing, ride out the storm, you know what I mean? So like, why not, right? And then like, seriously, it could be more like this international thing where everybody lives on a blimp, and like that way you don't have to land so much, Like seriously, like this guy, the rain collecting technology, they do like fabric, special fabric in a bucket, like it's self-sufficient, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, don't forget the air aerodynamic fans create like wind electricity. So it's like, okay, with electricity to power one computer, one iPhone, right? Like, what else do you need, right? Like, you're living in reality. Like, maybe you want to charge a camera or something like that, but you're not going to like spend excess amount on AI compute because fucking cares. Like, there's other things like people are like, oh, AI could destroy the world. It might destroy computers, but if we know how to live in reality, then we don't need computers working at like 1,000 times what they were in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, life got by without computers and continue to get by without computers. So it's like, let's not think too hard on protecting the computer industry. Let's just kind of create like sustainable lives where our footprints, or as humans, we're consumers, right? Not eat all of the resources that the planet creates. You know, I saw this blip. It was to stop eating fish for 10 years, the entire ocean like ecosystem would like renew itself. Like all the fish species would like repopulate and stuff like that. But because there's such a demand for protein, we're not going to stop. You know what I mean? Like, think all of the fighting because of fishing. No, of course you don't get it. Maybe you don't, because I understand that maybe Japan has a China example, just like America has issues with every country, but like I digress. So imagine, okay, we don't have to fish anymore. So this whole ocean thing, you don't have to like go fishing anymore. You just go to the protein factory and get some fish protein printed out, your favorite flavor and color, and then you eat that. You know, pound for pound, like, but I'm not sure. Like, they have to figure out like the plus humanity and the world, and you know, just are like 100% if we did print protein, right? But like, I don't want to like beef. Like, okay, like maybe, you know, there'll be some like, maybe so we'll, you know, reducing the amount of animals we kill would be like, oh, okay, let's just, we don't have to go full hippie here. We can compromise, right? Like, we'll make a conversation about all these kind of issues now versus later, you know, because what else are we imagining, kind of thing? And so like YouTube, I'm kind of getting bored by the information that I'm seeing, and I know it's my fault because I do videos, right? Like, I searched for English today. Oh, big mistake. I'm so pissed off. There was one video that was like natural English conversation for minutes, and it had like 9 million views. And of course, the two are talking, and of course, they're talking super. So, you know, again, not ramble. And if I could ramble for 9 minutes and slap on a thumbnail, so 90 minutes of California, I could do that with my eyes closed, like literally. And so, why not? You know? And like, that's right. I have to my programmer because he needs to basically do something for me so that I could begin to create content that I originally envisioned 4 years ago. Talk about acknowledging ignorance, right? But bottleneck to all of this is, for me, I need a professional to help, right? Because the big picture going on here, I don't know if you're looking at this picture, but when I teach California English, native speakers get used. And so like, if nobody's accent sounds bad to each other, and nobody realized how to teach for people to distinguish that there's accent. You know, we're not going to get it. If you're teaching English, we're not going to get it. We have to like shift to actual utterances of mouths, you know what I mean? And the actual sentences that are created by people, not the preconceived notion of what a conversation is. Of course, like, fine for you, you know what I mean? Like, English has like automated English, 150 phrases in it. It drives me that many people would watch a robot talk, you know? It really gets to the point of like a Mac Mini, you know what I mean? Like talking to my Mac Mini right now, it's like through some sort of like sub program, you know, that I found in it. I mean, like, and at point do we not talk to people anymore, or at least somebody from out your country, you know what I mean? It amazes me. So I believe it will constant level. It's great. Most people understand the picture a little bit better than their country, you know what I mean? So it's global consciousness, not the global language, Spanish, French, or English. So if you're English, then you have to choose one accent. English, how do you need your accents, right? Brit or South Africa, right? New Zealand, South Africa. Fine. One of them is really doable. He's like literally got like, that's the thing, guys literally don't. Because you know we're learning English, right? That means. And most people don't shit, as you guys aware. You know, either you speak English or you're enough, you realize, you know, like I make 10 actors video. And it's like, it's 26, and there's people there, literally accents and literally knocking to speakers, but they're going out there in front of them. Like, hey, you can do that. Of course you can. Or you learn how actually speak so that you sound kind of like everybody else. I don't mean it in a way. I just mean it in a linguistic way that language mimic native speakers do. And I know that most of you don't do that exclusively. And you probably saw some video or something about English. Stop. You know what I mean? Go talk with people and then literally mimic it. It's all you got to do. So that's a lot of Hiroyasada's English. It's from Japan. It's really real. Like, he looks like somebody that has to a dribble. He can talk like he knows what a action is. And acting. He says as if he's heard them. He's taken into meetings making sound like I hear another actor who literally never spoken English before outside your high school classroom. I'm just telling you my motivations. And the name is by 1% of in education. So how am I going to explain, nation? It's key dance, right? And if I, it's like, what was the word? Oh yeah, I thought of this one word. It's the things I think about in a week would bore you, but it's basically this. I was like, oh, this is a good one. 11 bananas. Cute, right? So, man, that's a big space in there. A lot of people like to say, well, Kyle, you talk so fast. And it's not a matter of speed. It is purely a matter of like, I am literally talking normally. If you really get me in the mode, like where I'm dead set on the idea that I'm thinking about, which is, teaching a second language, which I've thought about a lot. So I've probably said a lot of this before, but here's the thing. There's still people that don't get it, Like I saw a comment that was like, "Oh, you're still making videos?" And it's like, "Yeah, you still don't speak English?" Like, what what do you want me to do, right? Because like when there's so many people that want to learn a language, sometimes I actually wonder, it's like, should I make a world channel? You know what I mean? Because like I looked up Eagle, and like videos get like a million views, right? Or but a lot of like 400,000, 500,000, 600,000, whatever. Like okay, but I looked up English, and like it was like 9 million, 7 million, 4 million, and it was like English with Brad. I mean, give me a fucking break, right? Like, I mean, he's wearing like a polo shirt. He's like sitting in a room, and I'm just kind of like, okay, 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 okay. I guess that's how nobody talks actually, but keep teaching it, I guess, because like obviously, and that's the whole point. It's not obvious, and so maybe I got to make that video, where I take like one of the world teachers, and be like, yo, hey, nobody talks like that. Like, I'm not being confrontational. I'm just trying to like inform the world that there's a reality to how people actually talk. And by limiting the students' exposure to like how people actually spit, like it's a total disservice. You know what I mean? Like the more you guys get exposed to real English, as far as I understand it, the better. Now, of course, you can take everything that I say with a grain of salt and go find another live streamer or a YouTuber to talk to or to listen to, right? And kind of weigh it. And it's like, I know that the slow talkers are more popular because, they're kind of babying you and keeping you in your little kindergarten. But like, the reality is that adults go for it. You know what I mean? Like if you have something to say and you know how to say it, then you express it. But if you can't even express yourself in like your target language, you're just limiting your ability to have more experience, which then becomes a spiral downward in the sense that you seek more answers away from another human, more into another book, into another video, into another computer, into another chatbot, into another app, and you're never going to get it until you actually have a conversation with somebody here in reality. But we're not here in reality. This is another computer screen that we're in. So I am trying my best to humanize the entire process and stay humanized, because AI is never going to teach you fucking shit. Like all it's going to do is animate your book a little cooler, but it's not going to be the real deal human response that you're looking for. It's like it's like a sycophant that's just going to coddle you and for the most part like communicate with you in text, right? For now. But then like, oh, the better ones are like, hey, I can now talk to you. Like I saw a Gemini button on my map as I was driving. So I was like, hey, Gemini, what do you do? Like, what are you doing here on my map? Like I asked it like that, and it's like, oh, hey, well, like now that I'm on your map, I can explain, and it's talking like a robot, right? And like, I don't like the robot voice, but it was casual enough that I was okay with it, but I understand that it's just a map. I'm talking to a map, no more, no less. I have a balance with AI, but I wonder about you guys. I honestly wonder. I get a lot of emails from AI companies, and they kind of like, hey, we want you to make a video, but it's like they copy and paste the email. And so I'm just kind of like, why would I waste my time making a video for an AI company? Why? Do you not know how to learn a second language as well as I do? And I don't know. They're AI programmers, they're just caught in the visual sensation of the language, I suppose. Oh boy, I'm talking to a chatbot. You know what I mean? But like, I have no goal or ambition to talk to a chatbot any deeper than I'm doing now. You know what I mean? Like, the kind of conversations that I want to have are in reality with real people. Now, it's always been fun to talk with people in Japan, for sure. Like 100%. I love you guys, and I can't wait to go back. But I'm in California where the weather is nice. And after watching the movie about the war and thinking long term, like, I know the limits of Japanese society, and I don't have a visa there anyway. So I definitely do want to get a base in Japan one day, but like kind of own it, you know what I mean? But also, I definitely need a base in America, just because citizenship kind of games are easier to play in your own country, you know what I mean? But that base is going to be temporary as well. My real money, if you have forgotten already, is on this prototype that I'm going to be developing here. Like, this, the blimp, like, this is where I'm going to live in the future, okay? Like, just do not forget, like, that is my real dream right there. I just hope that the AI can design a steady enough blimp. You know what I mean? It's got to be steady. Like if it starts shaking and stuff, maybe I should have like a balloon below it, like a stabilizer balloon. Okay, look, I'm not going to get into aerodynamics right now because there's plenty of other sciences that we could be talking about, but we're talking about linguistics in a sense, second language acquisition. And what are you going to do with the information that you have, and how are you going to actually utter it? You know what I mean? How are you going to actually practice it in reality? And you need to get out and actually talk to somebody. Having one-way conversations like this are almost meaningless to anybody that's actually paying attention. You know what I mean? Like, well, if you're learning, this is all gold. I know, right? Like, it's like, oh, cool. I'm getting like actual somebody just rambling. Cool. Like, that's good for certain levels of your language journey. You know what I mean? Like, you definitely need the listening phase, and you need the listening phase all day, like, especially when you're young or just beginning to become bilingual. You need to be dedicated to listening to different channels and subjects basically every single day. You know what I mean? So like, listening is totally a part of the equation. It's just that most people kind of space out their listening over the course of a day. You know what I mean? But the thing is, if you're actually going to become bilingual, you have to be dedicated like 4 or 5 6 hour block of nothing but the target language if you really want to make any progress. The problem is, like, it's like, well, we've been doing this for 55 minutes and most people only pay attention for 6. So it's basically like, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't stay focused in English for like an hour, 2 hours, and not even a break. You know what I mean? Like, you can't keep switching back to Japanese if you want to progress English. You know what I mean? So one of the ways is obviously like an exchange program, right? Where you're just forced to give up Japanese. But as I browse in it and I look at other teaching channels, there's always like Japanese subtitles. And one is like, shoot yourself in the foot. Even though that was my head. Like, I'm metaphorically speaking here, is that like, as long as you're thinking about English in Japanese, you've lost the plot. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You're never going to get it. You have to think in English, right? You have to listen in English, respond in English, process it in English. You actually want to do something with this. But if you listen to English, translate it into Japanese, think about it, and then translate your answer back into English, you're never going to get anywhere. You have to do the heavy processing in your brain in audio too. It's going to have a weird accent nobody can understand. And then you have to play with that frustration of not being able to understand, and them not being able to understand you. That leads into like vicious self-circle of like, you know what? I'm just not going to talk to anybody. Because you can never get anywhere, never get deeper than the superficial where you from conversation. You got to go beyond where you are. You actually listen to more and more and more people in reality, like it or not. And then you can engage your reality with words that you know. Now, like if you talk about baseball, you better talk about baseball all the time. You know what I mean? But you want to talk rocket science, and I hope you about rocket science all the time with a bunch of other people that talk about rocket science all the time. I mean, I actually met a rocket scientist at a cafe purely by chance, but it was like, well, what do you think about it? And he's kind of like, well, a lot of regulation, a lot of laws. I was like, wow, that's interesting, because like that's definitely what I think about. And you just expand your mind through the other people who have already expanded their mind in subjects that you know nothing about. I mean, digress and put into this, but key, no matter what stage journey you're in, is to always use accent as your compass. Because I didn't say compass, I said compass. You know what I mean? Seriously. Let's see. Let's get another word in there, because that was a good one. I kind of like doing this on the fly. More fun that way for me, because it's not like I spent all day planning what I was going to say to the programmer. Like I was like writing the, phase 1, phase 2, like a script, right? And then I was like, that's right, I got to do a live stream today, but this is the joy of wrong way. Yeah, see that? Oh, you know what? I can just move it to the top. It's like new word, ding, 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 ding. And then all the other words kind of go down or something like that. Like 11, bananas goes down, and then 11 goes down, and then canvas goes down, and then compass goes down. But basically, yeah, compass is basically the accent, right? Like, which one are you going to choose? West Coast, East Coast? Don't choose a southern one. But yeah, that becomes the parameters in which you see everything, well, hear everything, and actually speak everything, right? So just pick a subject and like go to town. What do you want to talk about? And for me, it's always interesting in the sense that, oh, I could babble for an hour or two if I wanted to, but really the real conversation begins when you guys actually start participating and actually ask questions. Now, I know it's intimidating, and that's why a lot of people don't do it, and that's why I haven't been offering it recently, is the doing the live Zoom with you guys. I would like to do it more often, but as you can see, I can kind of steamroll a conversation pretty easily, and I don't want to do that necessarily. And also at the same time, I know that a lot of you guys don't need speaking practice so much as you do need listening practice. You know what I mean? Like everybody's excited to like, oh, I like Johnny Depp or whatever. And people want to talk, right? But it's like, well, you skipped the engine. You know what I mean? The accent engine that drives everything. And you're just using your Japanese accent engine in an English car, basically. And it just doesn't make sense for enough people that it can become a frustrating process if you've actually ever listened to a very sick Japanese accent, if you know what I mean. It can grind, if that makes any sense. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to say that it's literally hard to understand what you're saying sometimes if you talk about like a stadium, you know what I mean? シアトルスタジアム, right? Like ほとんどのアメリカ人が絶対聞き取れないよ. So it's crucial if you want to have kind of like these common ground moments together, is that we literally got to understand each other. So as much as I know that you guys want to talk and actually express yourself, I also know that you should probably listen a little more and listen a lot more to other people, not just me. If anything, I'm nothing more than a light tower, and I'm guiding you the right way, but I am not the end goal, and I'm not your teacher. Like, just kind of like a cool guy that you met on the road, gives you some wisdom, and hopefully with this wisdom you go out and create some more personal experiences for yourself. You know what I mean? In your neighborhood, in your life, at your work, in your dreams, right? Because one, I can't talk to everybody. Like I talked to this one lady in Vietnam. She recognized me and she was like, well, like, do you live here now or what? And I was like, no, I don't live here. I'm going to be leaving in a few weeks. So yeah, I'm not going to be around to talk to forever. So, but you should get out there and talk to other people as well. Right. And so hopefully if I'm doing my job right, I'm enriching your guys' reality and not your online experience. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to sit around and live stream in front of a computer all day. I would rather be flying my blimp around the world. But, like, there's only so many things you can do at once. So you have to kind of like begin to plan for the future. But that future doesn't come until you start planning it. You know what I mean? How am I going to build the blimp until I know what the blimp looks like? And the blimp looks like this. It's not like I went to a website right now and just looked up trending ideas. Nobody's talking about blimps, And maybe the blimp guy is. Maybe there is a blimp channel. I don't know. I haven't looked it up. But what I'm saying is that my ideas, for me at least, it's where it's all at. I can't get beyond my own head sometimes, but I know you're out there. I know you're listening, and I know that like you're in a situation and you want a better future. Am I right? So like, how are you going to get that better future? Well, you're going to pick a goal, right? And then you're going to do it. Like you're going to implement it. But you have to pick the goal. You have to see the goal. You have to visualize the goal. And if you want to speak English, I would just have to assume that there's another person in there. Chigoka. So if you wanted to talk English, you're going to have to like imagine actually talking to a human. And then you're going to have to imagine your voice, right? I am from Japan. You could imagine your voice sounding like that. You could, because I mean, if it is that already, or you could perhaps imagine another tone of voice. I'm not exactly quite sure what this one is, but it's definitely not the one I was doing before. I think it's more Sherlocky than Aussie. It's definitely not American, if you know what I mean. So you have to make effort. And if you don't make effort, well, then at least listen, right? But at least listen to like real people in reality. That's the only way you're going to get out of the bubble. And I swear to God, if you're on a phone, you're in a bubble. And a bubble is safe for the time being, but it is not reality. It is maybe a version of it. Maybe it's your reality, but it may or may not be a reality that can be shared with other people. And you won't know until you actually talk to somebody in reality. So, all that said, I appreciate you listening. This was a very fun time for me in the sense. It's also very, I want my monitor to lighten up there, but like, it's also interesting for me in the sense, and fun for me in the sense that like, I am like thinking in terms of the future way more than I'm thinking in terms of what's happening right now. And the kind of the channel master plan, to give you guys a little more context here, like the live stream is just a little bit of it, right? The video making is kind of the real kind of thing that I'm thinking about. And I just, the things that I want to do take a lot of time. But if I can come up with an automation, then I can make the videos that I want to make a lot faster. So having said that, this live stream is a good way to stay in touch with you guys, let you know that, there's a real person that's out there actually making content. There's not AI. A lot of the time, I use something that requires a lot of computer screen, which I'm excited to say the least. I think it's because the making stuff, videos I make, but I'm gonna go. I don't know if you guys, but it's still like what 12 you guys can, but it's already 8 o'clock, 8 or 9 in California because of the time change. So it's already on for 2 and get winded as it is getting late. We're to do this in your time zones. Reach out to more people often. The time difference, it is what it is. So I'm glad that I was able to do this. I'm very the ideas, you know what I mean? So I have dedicated others and stuff. I want to make sure that you guys, once a week, because it's just to talk to somebody and have something that's more valuable than any live stream or any video, any app ever made. So, whatever your way, and next week, okay? Bye.